On Wednesday, October 25th, 2023, Robert Card carried out one of the deadliest shooting sprees in U.S. history. 18 people were killed and another 13 were injured. The first shooting occurred at the just-in-time recreation bowling alley. Card used a semi-automatic rifle with an extended magazine and an optic. 7 people were killed at this location. Officers in plain clothes heard the shots while they were at a nearby shooting range and responded. A couple minutes later, a second shooting occurred at Shemengi's Bar and Grill restaurant. 8 people were killed at this location and 3 injured victims died later in a hospital. Robert Card was identified as a suspect less than 3 hours after the shootings took place. After a 2-day manhunt, Card was found dead from a gunshot wound to the head, and his death was ruled a suicide. It was estimated that he was deceased for approximately 8 to 12 hours before he was found. He was found in a trailer in the overflow parking lot at the Maine Recycling Corporation, which is where he had previously worked. Authorities claimed that they had searched the business 2 times before, but not the overflow lot. The center's owner had contacted the police to tell them that Card was familiar with the property and that they should check the trailers in a parking lot across the street from the main facility. During the search, police also recovered multiple weapons which are believed to have been bought legally, including the one found in his car and near his body. A note was also recovered at Card's home, and although it was not explicitly a suicide note, it was addressed to his son and suggested that he would not be around much longer and included his phone passcode and bank account numbers. Robert Card was 40 years old, and records show that he was enlisted in the reserves in 2002 and served as a petroleum supply specialist. Most recently, he was Sergeant First Class, but he had no combat deployments. It was originally stated that Card was a firearms instructor in the Army Reserve stationed in Saco, Maine. However, this was not the case. Earlier this year in May, the authorities were contacted by Card's family due to concerns about his mental health combined with his possession of firearms. The family had stated that Card's mental health had started to decline in January. Card's son had told officers that his father was starting to claim that people were talking about him while out in public, regardless of whether people were around him or not. He concluded that his father was hearing voices and beginning to experience paranoia. Many mental health concerns were displayed by Robert Card. In July, his military reserve commanders became very concerned with his erratic behavior while at the U.S. military academy. While with other soldiers, Card accused them of calling him a pedophile. He locked himself in a room and wanted people to stop talking about him. This encounter caused the officers to take him to a base hospital where it was determined that he needed further treatment. He stayed at a psychiatric hospital in New York for about 2 weeks and was then released. In mid-September, Card had made threats to shoot up a National Guard facility, and a statewide awareness alert was issued. This alert was cancelled 1 week before Card carried out the mass shooting. Deputies attempted to make contact with Card at his trailer, and he could be heard from inside the trailer but wouldn't answer the door. He was known to be armed and dangerous, and deputies decided to back away because of the bad position they were in. Witnesses also told law enforcement that Card believed that people were calling him a pedophile at the bowling alley and bar where he opened fire. He thought there was a conspiracy where people were making such accusations towards him online. It is also worth mentioning that 3 months prior to the mass shooting, Card had attempted to purchase a gun silencer. While filling out a form, he checked off a box that was asking the question, "Have you ever been adjudicated as a mental defective, or have you ever been committed to a mental institution?" Since Card had checked off this box, he was denied the ability to purchase a gun silencer. Due to the warning signs that Card was displaying, of course the question has been asked whether this tragedy could have been prevented. Many other states have red flag laws which allow family members or law enforcement to petition to a court for an order temporarily limiting the person's access to firearms if the person is a risk to themselves or others. However, Maine has not implemented this and instead has yellow flag laws. This requires a family member to report the person to law enforcement, who would then be taken into protective custody. Then a mental health professional would evaluate the individual and determine whether they pose a risk or not. If Card's stay at the mental institution was an involuntary commitment to a mental health facility, then that should have caused the yellow flag law to come into play. More information should be revealed as investigators continue to look into the shootings.